Okay, you can see I got that piece of wire that was holding the ones I'm adding in back against the trunk out of there, and I got my wrench on there, and I just got a real slight twist on there so that those wires that I peeled out of the center are holding those 3 wires from popping up out of the branch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in here. This is the old pot handle. Anytime you use that, something to force the wire into place, you want to make sure it's not a piece of metal. It's got to be softer than the aluminum somewhat. And I got this old Bulkalite pot handle that I've been using for a long time. Seems to work pretty good, but and I really like the shape at the end of it. That's why I use this. But I'm gonna wiggle that in there so that it, I can hit the end of it and tap those 3 wires in there a little better. We'll see how that goes. Okay, now they're disappeared. They're in there. So I'm going to peel a couple of wires out from the back side of this and cross them over. And then I'm going to take the trunk and fold it all back together and throw a wrench on there and start twisting that trunk up again. And hopefully you won't be able to see any of those 3 wires at all once I'm done. And they will make sure that that branch is very securely held in place. Now let's see here. Now the other thing that I'm going to try and explain here is, because like I said, it's impossible to video me while I'm doing this because my hands are all up in here in the way. But since I pulled these wires out, and you notice there's some of them that go way back into the center there, so that this branch will be attached firmly, I'm going to take some of those wires out of the center and pull them out forward and lay them on the branch so they're just sticking out here. And it takes a while, and I don't do it the same every time because the patterns just don't end up being the same and you got to adjust. But I'm going to try and cover up the hole that this branch left in here because we took a bunch of wires out of the trunk, and you want it to not have a cave in right here. And it's really hard to explain how I do that because I don't do it the same every time. But basically I'm going to pull some wires out of the center of that bunch and bring them out towards the outside edge to fill that hole. But I got to make sure none of them are the 3 wires that are going back into the trunk. So I leave those 3 wires, let's see if I can get that. Yeah, I leave those 3 wires hanging out the back of the trunk for a good long time so I know I don't end up mixing them up with some other wires. But eventually they'll get tucked back into the trunk. Now I said before, some people might think, hey, I'm going to use these 3 wires to start a branch over on this side because I need one over here. And sometimes I'll do that. You never know, I might even do that with this one because I think I am going to need a little bit of a branch over there. But what can happen is when you got something that crosses all the way over the trunk and splits these 2 in half, sometimes you'll go to put these back together and you'll leave a bump there. And sometimes that'll be okay, sometimes not. And plus, when you twist these over here up, if the ones going to this branch aren't real secure, things can get kind of wonky. It's hard to explain. But I'm gonna go ahead and try and get the trunk back together now. And then it's like you twist a little bit on here, you twist a little bit on the trunk, twist a little bit on here, and try and get those 3 wires hid the best you can.